The Amityville Horror House is, without a doubt, one of the most famous and haunted houses in the United States. Located at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York, the history of this house is marked by tragic events and reports of paranormal phenomena that captured the attention of the entire world. It all began on the night of November 13th, 1974, when Ronald DeFeo Jr., armed with a rifle, coldly murdered his parents and four brothers while they slept. DeFeo later claimed that voices in his head urged him to commit the crimes. This terrible massacre was just the beginning of the dark legend associated with the house. In December 1975, just over a year after the murders, the Lutz family bought the house and moved in. George and Kathy Lutz, along with their three children, were initially excited about their new home. However, after just 28 days, they fled the house, claiming to have been terrorized by a series of unexplained paranormal phenomena. The Lutz's accounts included a variety of strange and disturbing occurrences. They would hear unexplained voices and mysterious noises, including footsteps and banging, even when no one was around. Certain areas of the house were inexplicably cold, regardless of the outside temperature. One of the most bizarre phenomena reported was the appearance of green slime oozing from walls and locks. Additionally, the Lutzes claimed to have seen demonic figures, including an entity with glowing red eyes. There were also reports of strange behavior among family members, with personality changes that could not be explained. The Lutz's story was documented in a 1977 book titled The Amityville Horror, a true story written by Jay Anson. The book detailed the paranormal events the family claimed to have experienced, turning the house into a horror icon. The book was adapted for film in 1979, with the film The Amityville Horror, which spawned several sequels and remakes. The film's popularity helped solidify the house's reputation as one of the most haunted places in America. Despite the fame, the authenticity of the events was widely debated. Some believe the story was exaggerated or even invented to gain notoriety and profit. Others, however, defend the veracity of the events, pointing to the Lutz's consistent and detailed testimonies. Today, the Amityville Horror House remains a focal point for paranormal enthusiasts, investigators, and the curious. Whether one believes in the hauntings or not, the Amityville House continues to fascinate and terrify, maintaining its place in history as one of America's most enduring and controversial horror legends. As night falls on the Amityville Horror House, the darkness brings with it a palpable sense of unrest. They say it is during these dark hours that the house's true nature reveals itself, when shadows seem to come to life and whispers of the past echo through the halls. Neighbors, even after decades, still talk about nights when a strange light seems to emanate from the house's empty windows, even though no one is there. Some have reported seeing spectral figures wandering the grounds, as if trapped in an endless cycle of torment. Inside the house, the rumors are even more terrifying. Reports from visitors who dared to enter describe a feeling of being constantly watched, as if the eyes of some evil entity were fixed on them. A heavy sense of dread fills the air, making it difficult to even breathe. Those who spent the night in the house speak of vivid, disturbing nightmares where formless shadows chased them incessantly. Many woke up covered in cold sweat, swearing they heard indecipherable whispers at the foot of their beds. And indeed, audio logs captured during paranormal investigations often contain unexplained voices, often murmuring in eerie tones that seem to echo from beyond the grave. Some visitors claim that the walls of the house seem to pulsate, as if they were alive, whispering macabre secrets from a past filled with pain and suffering. These visitors often leave the house shaken, their minds haunted by the sights and sounds they experienced. In the basement, where the cold is most intense and the darkness seems thickest, there is an oppressive feeling of malevolence. This is said to be the epicenter of paranormal activity, where the house's evil essence is strongest. The few who ventured there described an overwhelming presence, an invisible force that seemed to try to drive them away. There are stories of people being pushed or grabbed by invisible hands, and some have even reported unexplained marks on their bodies after visiting the home. These experiences left many questioning their sanity, unable to find a rational explanation for what they faced. The house itself seems to feed on the fear and disorientation of its visitors, its rooms transforming into a maze of personal terrors. Doors that once led to familiar places now open into unfamiliar rooms, plunging intruders into a state of panic and confusion. Some claim that the house has a consciousness of its own, an evil entity that manipulates the environment to torment those who dare enter. It is as if the house were alive, its corridors and rooms a reflection of the despair and agony it housed. And so, the Amityville Horror House remains, a sinister monument of horror and mystery. Its walls hold the echoes of past screams, its shadows harbor unspeakable secrets. The legend of the house lives on, a horror narrative that continues to evolve, capturing the imagination and fear of all who dare know its story. If you're brave enough to visit, remember, the Amityville Horror House isn't just a place. It is a presence, a force that defies understanding and feeds on human fear. Those who enter rarely leave the same, their souls forever marked by the terrors they faced in the depths of that haunted house. As the legends continue to grow, the Amityville Horror House becomes more and more of an enigma, a maze of terror where the lines between reality and nightmare blur. The few who dare to spend an entire night in the house return with stories that defy logic and sanity. The stairs creak heavily, as if carrying the weight of decades of suffering. At night, when the darkness is total, distant echoes of children's laughter mix with sinister whispers, creating a macabre chorus that would chill anyone's blood. Those who sleep in the house report feeling an oppressive weight on their bodies, as if something or someone is sitting on their chest, watching them as they sleep, unable to move or scream. A recent visitor, an experienced paranormal investigator, reported a terrifying experience in the attic room. Upon entering, he found old toys scattered across the floor, covered in dust and cobwebs. Suddenly, the toys began to move on their own, turning and shaking, as if an invisible force was playing with them. An old, worn-out doll turned its head slowly, and its glass eyes seemed to follow him across the room. In the basement, where the darkness is thickest, the walls seem to whisper unholy secrets. The air is heavy and damp, carrying a smell of decay and mold. Visitors describe feeling a cold, invisible hand tugging at their ankles, as if something was trying to drag them into the dark depths of the house. Some ran away in panic, with scratch marks on their legs and ankles, swearing that something was trying to trap them there forever. The house's windows, with their sinister shape that resembles watchful eyes, seem to have a life of their own. Sometimes they open and close violently, as if the house itself were breathing. Residents have reported seeing ghostly figures in windows, looking in with empty, soulless eyes, only to disappear when someone approaches. And then there's the Red Room, a small space hidden behind a false wall in the basement. Those who have discovered this space describe a feeling of pure evil emanating from it. The bedroom wall is covered in strange and indecipherable symbols, as if some ancient and evil ritual had been performed there. The few who ventured inside the Red Room reported feeling a suffocating presence, as if the air itself was alive with malevolent intent. Investigators who have attempted to document these occurrences often find their equipment failing inexplicably. Batteries drain instantly, cameras capture only static, and audio recorders record only distorted noises and distant screams. It's as if the house itself is trying to hide its secrets, keeping its true nature hidden from the outside world. And so, the Amityville Horror House remains a place of mystery and fear, where echoes of the past continue to haunt the present. For those who dare enter, the warning is clear. Once you cross the threshold of this cursed house, you will never be the same. The shadows and whispers of Amityville have a way of clinging to the soul, leaving an indelible mark of terror that lingers long after you've left. The Amityville Horror is not just a story, but a living, breathing reality that continues to grow, feeding on the fears and stories of those who dare to face the unexplainable. In the stillness of the night, when the wind blows through the trees and the moon casts long, dark shadows, the house in Amityville waits, a sinister presence that never sleeps, always ready to devour the unsuspecting and the curious. And so, the legend continues, increasingly dark, increasingly terrifying.